How about that? Gotta hit record before I forget. All right. Well, I'll give it one more minute. We'll see who else is going to be on here live with us. Welcome to the audio conference. Okay. Got that. Getting all set up over here for you. Okay, I don't know where everyone's signing in from. Oh, Toby, I'm glad you made it. I'm glad the link worked. Thank you for letting me know.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, I took a roundabout route.
Oh,
yeah, I
I'm
didn't.
sorry.
Yeah, what I ended up doing was going to Zoom
Uh-huh.
and then punching in your meeting number.
Oh, that's really weird. I hope nobody else had that same problem. I apologize for that.
That's okay. It's the first time that's happened to me, and I'm surprised I thought of that as a solution. So,
I am not surprised that you thought of that as a solution.
Well,
proof that we're incredibly resourceful.
Exactly.
Just automatically.
Yeah.
I you know, when I set this up, I didn't realize it was going to be sort of a national holiday. So it's the Remembrance Day holiday today. It was obviously yesterday. So I was curious how that was going to impact people showing up live. I was actually really glad that kind of worked out. And
yeah. Oh, there we go.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just going to jump in because I have like so much stuff. I mean, really, this topic is massive. So I want to get as much as I can into the space that you can have it to hold. But first, I just want to take a minute for everyone that's shown up live to acknowledge the time and space that you're giving this, and to know that everything in me, all I want is for you to walk away with something new, something valuable, and something that really gets underneath this in a way that feels supportive and of service to you. Because there's something in me that really is being called to have this conversation around boundaries, and to sort of be willing to look at it differently. So I guess the one thing I'm asking of you is you take a deep breath and like really be here, is to almost like open up your mind and allow that whatever you've held up until now around that, allow that to kind of come to the surface and with a loose grip. Because we can't sort of bring in new ideas with kind of things that we're gripping onto. So it's kind of that learner's mind. So to really come into this with a learner's mind and be like wondery about it. Like I wonder, like what if? Like what ifs and what if this and what if that? Because sometimes we don't realize we have some hard and fast rules around what we believe boundaries to be and what we don't. And that's really important to sort of just be aware of how rigid some of our perspectives can be, and it can be really humbling. So I need that, apparently that feels important to say. So thank you all for being here. I swear to God, this is the most people I've ever had on a Zoom call. Freaking out a little bit. This may sound like a total noob. I have been doing this for almost 10 years. But in one call, I don't know if I've had this many, and it's very exciting. So thank you for being here and seeing lots of familiar faces. If there's any background noise, I might go and mute you all, to take no offense. I just don't want it to be disruptive to other people. And I want to encourage interaction. So the interaction, the way we can do this is like there's a chat element right here. And if anything comes up, I just said here, so you guys can see where that is. What I want you to do is when we're talking, when we're discussing things in the chat, and I'm like reading your comments and things and bringing them into the space, the most important thing you can do is notice what's coming up for you. So this isn't about me knowing everything. This isn't about me having it all together. This is about me opening up a conversation that apparently you need to be exposed to. And I feel like the more I've been delving into the research, I've had so many of you reach out to me and tell me so much about your experiences. You just have no idea how valuable that is for me to help translate that into learning. And for you to be aware that you are your own curriculum around this topic. I'm not here to shove things down your throat. I'm here to open up this conversation, and for you to always be the driver, and for you to always own what it is that's coming up, knowing that that's your we're just going to go right into it. That's like basically your intuition's way of saying, hey, by the way, this for you. And it's not here to come and get you. It's here to just be like, wonder about it. Like, gosh, that's weird that came up. Whether it's sometimes it's a memory, sometimes it's a weird metaphor or a sense, because if you're on this call, you're a deep feeler and an empath. So let's just explore that gift that we have and use it to for what it's here for, which is to inform and support us, not just us, but others. And again, huge topic. So please pay attention to that. You and your instincts and your insights are your business, and I'm happy for you to share them here. That being said, feel like I'm talking already way too much, I want to make sure this space is safe. I want you guys to understand that each one of us is in a very different place on this journey called boundaries, and that's to be respected and accepted for what it is, knowing that we cannot all be at the same place. We cannot have all the same perspective. And that is humbling and also maybe frustrating at times, because we wish everybody saw it the way we did. But honor that in yourself and in others. And that, again, you can feel that like, oh man, I'm really being asked to kind of open up and like wonder about how they see it, or even, and how that rubs up against how I see it. Again, this call is not about conflict. However, when these things come up, it can sometimes feel like, what is going on? And I don't want you to be alarmed by that. I want you to be open to it and curious about it, whether you share it in the chat, whether you share it in your journal, or you use the notes section in the worksheet that I provided to like just barf, whatever, so to speak, not literally barfing. And I'm going to share the worksheet if y'all didn't get it. It's very simple. It's a pretty straightforward worksheet that if you did not get it, it's in Google Docs. And if you're using Google Docs, be sure to download it onto your thing, because otherwise if you work on it, it'll like mess up the whole thing on Google Drive. So just download it and then open it. And we're off and running. Yay! So that's enough of me talking. Just for now, I want to, let's get started. Thank you all for being here. This is very exciting. Okay, here we go. So can you all see that now? I hope you can all see my screen being shared there. So welcome. We're talking about embodying boundaries, which is a very different conversation than building them, as you can sense. And by the way, this image, very intentional, because this is how I want boundaries. This is what I believe healthy boundaries are meant to feel and look like as a metaphor. A door, permission, a lush, abundant place for exchange to happen and for like to be able to thrive in an environment. So bit of an agenda, housekeeping. We talked about the worksheet, house rules. Obviously, if anyone is feeling courageous and open, as a lot of empaths, we're just sometimes such an open book. They want to share in the space for that to be respected, and for you to share only your experience outside of this call, I think helps create more safety and respect for ourselves and others. So that's what I want to say about that. So now enough about me. I want you, before we get started, it's important to kind of pour out. It's almost like pouring out a little bit of what's in your cup. Sometimes we can be so full of information around this stuff. Rhetoric, teachings, quotes, bullshit, like just stuff that you're like, oh, I hate it when people say that around boundaries, or even just your experience with them in the chat, I think would probably be helpful. To just blurt, like, you and boundaries, what comes up for you? Like, where do you notice them most? What are your thoughts around boundaries? Or like, what do you struggle with? With who in particular? And when? When do you notice boundaries? Yeah, because here's the thing. What we're talking around boundaries is the word safety kept coming up. The more I hung out with it, it's just this feeling of safety, this importance of safety, feeling safe, clear, and we notice when we don't feel safe and clear, and maybe sometimes we don't until after we feel really, really gross. And so yeah, this is just a moment for you to stop, and whether you share it in the chat or not, I don't care. What I do want you to do is just like even write it out, or just like, I don't know. It's just important to kind of take the head off of it. Take the head off of it. I'm just going to make sure. What's that? Hang on. Something's not working here. Just a second. Yeah, so take a moment and be with that. And I'm going to figure this thing out that I'm trying to figure out. There we go. Yeah, guess I didn't mute myself. I did not. Thank you, Ellen. We got some stuff coming in. I think about boundaries when I'm thinking about toxic relationships, family, and family. Thank you. Yes, boundaries. Ha! Kara. Love you. That's hilarious. What boundaries? Definitely need to learn to put more up and be comfortable in learning how to say no. No is a complete sentence. Thank you for putting that into the space. I think we could all respect and relate. Safety, respect, clarity, freedom to feel. Such a theme there, right? Thank you. Kelly says, when the way people treat me feels ick for whatever reason, I feel the need to set a boundary, but I often back down because I think I'm probably just too sensitive or needy. Nailed it, right? Hands up. I can relate to that. Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, keep them coming. There's no time limit on this, and I'll go back and reflect on the Michelle says, I just realized how uncomfortable I am when someone else expresses clear boundaries. Oh my gosh. No, it's not weird. I was on a call with an intuitive and she said it was 15 minutes. I'm telling you, 15 minutes came and the thing she said right before she left was, oh, and there's this this older man that says he has some stuff to sort out with you. And I think it's your grandfather. And anyway, and she's like, but I'm not going into that right now. So I got to go. And she's like, bye. And she hung up. And I was just like, OMG, as a healer and practitioner, I was on one hand offended as a human in a way, like as a sensitive. And on the other hand, I was like, you're amazing. And I leaned in. I was like, what is that like? And I learned from her. I actually ended up working with her because I was like, I need me some of that. I didn't totally have my feelings hurt, but boy, did I feel that wall. My nose smashed right up against it. Whoa. Yeah, it is. I think you're right. It's because I wasn't totally clear. I'm like, I don't know if I'd ever do that. But again, we all get to choose our style. Blaine says, I struggle with the boundaries because sometimes I don't know if there's something I need to learn about what's bothering me, or if it's just that I need space from what's happening, or both. Yes, exactly. There's a lot of, really, it raises a bunch of questions. All the WTFs, right? Boundaries are a big WTF, that's why we have problems with them. And again, who wants to go into that? But welcome to life. We're gonna dive in. Thank you. These are great. Keep them coming. So I muted everybody. I'm gonna go back to sharing because I got some stuff to share with you that I think is gonna help, because I pretty much spent my life talking about this or living it. So let's put it into practice. Do you guys see that okay? Because for some reason this bar, I'm going to move it. There we go. I'm going to put that over there. All right, here we go. Okay, so please tell me you can see this slide, because okay. If you can't see this slide, I will move. I think that might just be on my end. Hopefully it's not. You tell me. If you can see the stuff on the slide clearly or not. Okay, forget this full screen crap. We're just going to do it this way. It's just not working. Slides look good. Thank you. Thank you very much. See, just so you know, not super polished. You're getting to know me already. That's how it goes. So we're just going to do it this way because this full screen thing is messing with my mind. So we're going to do it this way. So as empaths and deep feelers, this is a lot of the reason why it's really hard, because we pick up on everything. Well, my story, like a lot of yours, is born open, born ready to love. Let's do this. Let's spread love and healing on this planet. I'm here, you're here, let's do this. And then because we feel things, we sense things, not only inside of us, but others. We can pick up on energy. We can tell what's in behind what people are saying, not by their words, but their energy. Like as a child, that is an incredibly crazy place to be, first and foremost. So we have to talk about this, because from a child's perspective, when you're with that, you don't have the words about what that is. You don't, all you know is, or, and you wonder, is that me and mine? It must be. From a child's perspective, that is exactly what happens. We interpret it that way. Because I feel it, it is mine, and this is me. And we unknowingly take responsibility for it, equals a hot mess. And the ball of yarn starts to wrap itself around. So I hope that even just that one element of this call helps you understand and maybe show up a little more compassionately for how or why things get so messed up. Because we must have that element in the space. Otherwise, we would just continue that cycle of giving ourselves a very hard time. The trouble is, we came here to fully participate. We were built to be wide open. And humanity is actually built to be affected. You think about this, like this whole idea of boundaries, the conversation. The idea is like, we're not supposed to. And I get safety and like very dangerous people and all that sort of stuff. And yet there is this request on a human and a soul level. Is like, we're here to be affected. We're not only here to be affected, but we're here to affect. We're here to have an impact. We're here to mix it up. And the stop-start energy of boundaries it's like the death to the empath, because we just wish we could just be and everything be okay and everyone get along. And that's just not what happens. So then we don't know what to do. So we're hardwired for openness, to be changed and to learn, because that is the human experience. However, how do we stay true to that and feel safe to be and do as we need and want? Amen. Hallelujah. I'm just going to check in on the chats. Okay, great. Oh, okay. Thanks, everybody. I just couldn't see it, so that was really messing with me. I hope this is okay. Michelle says, does our culture allow children to have boundaries, or are they even respected? Mine were not. That's a whole other thing. Not only are we empaths, or like we're here, but we have children here, which is like that whole mama bear, and no, you don't, and no, you did not, and now what? And how do we show up that in that place? Thank you. And I'm sorry your children's boundaries were not respected. That is not okay. Toby says, since I started with boundaries in the spring, the momentum is MFing. Not really sure I'm equipped to deal with all the fallout. Thank you. We're going into it. Yes. I'm dealing with an aggressive bully, says Ernie, who thinks she can do as she wants. Very hard and difficult dealing with her aggressive behavior and conduct. Yes, being the way we are, as I mentioned in one of the emails I sent out, if you read it, if you're able to read it, don't worry about it if you didn't. It's fine. Is that there's this, we attract interaction. We attract people. We attract the good, the bad, and the ugly. And what if you understood that as an empath, you're actually here to stay open and to disrupt, which does not sort of fit the meme of the empath, the one that came to do no harm. And yet we are kind of the perfect ones to show up with an open heart, because an open heart opens other open hearts. And it's a radical act in the world today, because everything outside of us is telling us to build walls and to hide and to protect and to arm and all of that stuff. And the more I do this work, the more I do it with myself and with others, there's a clearing out that happens that fortifies us and anchors us into this truth, that helps us show up and be with the fallout. And yes, it is devastating and heartbreaking, and it is also liberating, not only for us, but others. So I'm just going to throw that out there, and I'm going to open it up later on in this call. And there's more to come. Obviously, I'm sharing this because I want more of this work to go out there. There's so much more to be done and explored, which I will share with you. But we're going to do our best. We're going to do our best to get through whatever we can today. And we attract narcissists, people that are in pain, people that are inherently in pain, and they see us as an opportunity. And yes, we don't always have to say yes, but we'll talk about that too. No, I don't do that. What am I doing? I just want to go. What's happening? Come on. All right. For some reason. Weird. Fine. Okay, no, we're good. We'll do this. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little bit about my story, just so you know who you're talking to, because I'm new to some of you. My name is Keri-Anne Livingstone. I am. I have not always been able to talk about this topic. I did not arrive this way. I was born open-hearted. I was born ready to love. Please love me. Let's do this. I'm open. Hey, family, that's all messed up. And here I am. And my journey is being of the best friend, of the family connector, of the deep listener, of the overgiver, the oversharer, also a bad receiver, all of those things. I attracted, well, okay, we're not going to get into that. I attracted an abuser into my life because I was the way I was. And that is not blaming me. This is what happens. You know, I know that that's what happened. And so I didn't realize I was going to go into that tricky area. I'm not really meaning to go there, but I was sexually abused as a child, and that happened, and that impacted me, and it impacted my family. I also was sort of thrust into some somewhat inappropriate relationships with my mother, attending AA meetings from a very young age, feeling very responsible for keeping the family together, very responsible for her sobriety, and very responsible for me feeling like I was the linchpin of everything, and unknowingly sacrificing things along the way that just didn't seem as important as my role as this helper in the world. I found a lot of my self-esteem through the relationships of others, like their feedback, their energy. I only knew who I was in space and time based on what I was getting back from others, which basically was my people-pleasing and codependency PhD. And I chose should. You know, what should I do based on external things? What looks right? What seems right? What are people telling me? Versus what I wanted. By the way, anytime somebody asked me what I wanted, first date with my husband, he said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I bawled. You want to talk about inappropriate or like embarrassing? There you go. Because that was like, how could you ask me that question? That's a terrible question to ask. It was like him poking. I don't know what I want. How dare you? I essentially took my hands off the wheel, not knowing I even had a wheel. And I just took the hand of external sources and just hoped. I think I was just hoping. And by the grace of God, I did make it through. But I also made my way into I took hands of people, and I took hands of situations that just took me into more what I would call abuse and misuse of power and position. I ended up in an emotionally abusive and a very isolating relationship in England for over 7 years, from the time I was 18 to 25, with a narcissist. And that was not only isolating emotionally, but literally he had me exactly where he needed me, away from all my friends and family, so I couldn't be influenced. And that was a huge, huge classroom for me to learn about all of that, all the compromising, all of that, and how to find my way out, which I did. And then, you know, came back, ended up practicing and playing with new ways, did meet my husband, did start ticking the boxes on the surface. And I had another moment where it all kind of fell apart, which in 2008, I ended up losing all of that structure. I lost my first pregnancy, which was a miscarriage that just sent me into a whole other thing of like who I am in space and time. Identity elements just crumbling away, roles, rules, all of that just kind of disintegrating. I lost my job. I lost all of our income because I was the breadwinner. He was at school. I lost all the things that I thought made a life, and was basically asked to rebuild from what I felt was nothing, even though it wasn't nothing. I still had this incredible relationship with my husband. But now as I do this work, it actually launched me out of this corporate box and out into like, I kept trying to go back in. Once it birthed me out, it pushed me off the cliff and I hit every branch on the way down. I kept trying to go back in because I was like, I don't know about this. I'm just going to go back. And I wasn't able to. So I had to figure it out. And through a series of events and my own internal process, I ended up finding my life, the one that had been waiting the whole time on the sidetrack parallel to the one I was living. And it was through a series of essentially this work around who I am in space and time and others, and how I relate to them and how I relate to myself. So yeah, yeah, that's me. And this is me too. And so from that, I started talking about daring to suck, which was I'm daring to do the thing. This has saved my life. This is an anchor in my life. I created a program called Daring to Suck, which is daring to do the thing, the instinct, whatever arises, I'm going to do that. And I don't care if I suck at it. Because I needed to be free. I needed to free and shake away all the other things. I needed to be bad at things in order to live. And so I sent out a bulletin to everybody. By the way, I'm doing this and I'm going to do this with other people. I started a blog. And then this coaching thing, this coaching course came a couple of years later as I kind of realized that there were sort of steps and elements that I had lived through my life that helped start to clear my own stuff. And anyway, so that's where that happened. And now I host retreats for women in Galliano called Radical Acceptance, which are all about full expression, because I think this is where it's at. And a lot of us, especially empaths, when it comes to expressing ourselves, do we want to say anything? No, because how do we say it and what do we say? Right? So this is a really big conversation. And I'm just going to address some of the comments because I just feel like I threw a lot at you. So again, check in to see how you relate with any of this and how it feels. Jody says, how do we deal with bullies besides avoiding them? Exactly. Or resorting to the same behavior, because we don't want to turn on our own hearts, period. It's like not only, so we think, see, here's the pattern. We think we should do this because that's what somebody says, build a wall, do this, all this stuff. And it hurts. It actually hurts our beingness to be like that. And so we're screwed. We're hostage. We're held hostage to everything and everyone then. So that's the problem. You've got it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this. Jeanette says, what I've learned is that they inform people how I want to be treated. Very, very powerful statement. Yes. Someone's asking my definition of a deep feeler. Somebody that feels things very deeply. I know that's an asshole response. And I don't mean to be an asshole. Deep feeler, it's just like, oh God, you're sensitive. So some people call it highly sensitive. You're in tune with your emotions. Here's how it originally looks. I'm a mess. That's how deep feelers feel in the beginning when they don't realize they're actually amazing. I'm an effing mess. I cry all the time. I cry at the stupidest things, music, commercials, all these things. We're just here to we're transmute stuff, to be impacted, to feel and to move things. So deep feelers and empaths are also, this, I don't know if this can blow your mind or not, but there's this collective element. There's this, the more I step into this intuitive aspect, the one thing I forgot to mention is my father passed away 2 years ago, very suddenly, which was my third shedding of skins of who I am. And it opened up a lot of intuitive elements, a lot of information being received. He didn't mess around after he died. And so I've just been really exploring that. And one thing I've learned is that we as empaths are really here to transmute energy. Emotions are energy. And so to be a deep feeler means it's not that you love them, but you are willing to ride them to some degree once you realize it's not wrong or bad to have them. So I feel like I'm here to help unravel that and help heal that relationship with you and your emotions. So thank you for asking that. There's so much more to talk about that, but generally. So there's this element that's very noble, but can also get really misunderstood along the way, that sometimes there are people on the earth right now that cannot and do not know how to express their emotions. They don't. They never will. It's really, really hard for them. And so, so apparently a part of our mandate, or how our souls are built, is that we said yes to being able to feel more and to be able to move that. But when we don't realize that we're moving collective energy, we can really blame and self-shame ourselves as a result, as opposed to creating space and time for feelings to move. So that's a lot of the stuff that I talk about. So I hope that helps. Kelly says, yes, attract people who are in pain. Yes, we do. Yeah. Good God. I've had some doozies. Yeah. Yeah. It's, it leads us into the dark. And then there's this other relationship that I'm aware of about the dark, and how to be with it in a way where you do feel more connected with yourself and grounded and supported in that place, because that is where learning happens. If you understood that to be true, a lot of us think dark means bad. Not the case at all. at all. And so I love being able to help people embody that and understand that in the work that I do. Hearts from Holly, thank you. Jeanette says, the most amazing retreats. Thank you. Colleen says, yes, yes. Okay, all right, ladies, just stop it. They're saying, good retreat, da, da, da. Kelly says, thank you. Fully received, but yes. Kelly says, and overly sensitive is negatively viewed. Exactly. The HSP, you know, when that was put out, highly sensitive person, I was like, oh, I mean, some people were like, oh my God, thank God there's a word for it. And other people, I just thought, you know, when we were kids, so sensitive, you know, oh my God, really? Could we not use that word? Could we just like, because I understood it to be different. And over the years, yeah, I'm trying to help open up another conversation so we can be here more fully as we're meant to be, because we're healers and we are here to, like, no word of a lie. I kind of feel like we're here to save the planet and to lead others alongside us. Yeah, in various ways, in the way that we're meant to, uniquely. Ernie says, I'm finding that I'm observing more so that interacting with the drama, I'm responding versus reacting. Yes, that is a powerful shift. We're going to talk more about that. Me too's all over the place here. Me too, Colleen. My entire family has decided I am, yeah, sensitive is what I think you're talking about. That negative connotation, right? I'm going to get rid of that altogether. Kelly says, through work like this, I'm finding it easier to say, I'm a sensitive person, and it not have an energetic charge around it, how the irony of that, and feel okay with it instead of feeling like a weakling or a problem. That's also our mandate. You're a problem to be fixed. You're inconvenient because you're the inconvenient truth, because you're the one that's like, something doesn't feel right in here. And all the people that go along to get along are like, shut up. We don't talk about that. You know, like, and so we're the awkward fart in the room that's like, yeah. Or we smell the awkward fart in the room and we're like, who farted? Sorry, that's how I roll. I'm not sorry. Kara says, I find I attract people who use me because they know I have no boundaries and will never say no. That is a very powerful awareness. You're going to use that today. You're going to take that in and not give yourself crap about it. That's just a solid truth. You can work from that truth as long as you don't give yourself crap about it. Guess what? There's a reason why it's really hard to say no, and you have yours. So when you understand it, it's going to make it a lot easier for you to reconcile it. We're going to talk more. Candace says, I've always been told you're too sensitive. Yeah. And how does that make us feel? Welcome? Nope. So I want something really big to shift in this call. I want you to understand that yes, you are sensitive, and you're sensitive on purpose. And if anything, you should be saying, you know, you're welcome to people when they say it, knowing in yourself, you don't have to convince them of anything. Just in your head, be like, and you're welcome. Because I'm helping yo ass out because you cannot feel. I'm just kidding. That sounds super judgmental. But, you know, sometimes it is nice to kind of be like, I am important here. I have a role. I have a bigger, deeper role that I didn't realize before. Now I can sit there and I can like anchor in that. And that feels good and better than feeling like a problem, because that's BS. Ellen says, people think I'm not sensitive, etc., because I put up strong walls, but I do that precisely because I am sensitive and feel things so strongly. Do you want to know what I almost did? It's funny you should say that, Ellen, because there was a time when I was looking at empaths. I was really intrigued by all the different types of empaths that I worked with. And the ones that I found the most, what I would say surprising, it's almost like covert, or over, whatever the word is, where it's kind of like hidden, you wouldn't think, because they seem like so strong or like kind of guarded even. And I'm not doing your face, by the way. You have a beautiful and loving face. Is the ones that basically when they were open, they got hurt, and it's a big FU wall because they are open-hearted and deep feelers. And so that's a coping mechanism, and it makes sense. And so I guess I feel like I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but to answer some of the questions, well, here, no, we're going to do this. Here we go. Because I can still see this. Good. Okay, so this is some of the rhetoric. I only threw a few up there because I was throwing this together. But like this idea of a line being drawn, me versus them, inside, outside, a wall, here's a line, don't cross it. Boundaries literally says the marks that divides the limits. We believe them to be limits because that is literally the definition. that this is how this can be held. And so for an empath or any human, frankly, that really gives a crap about boundaries, there's an immediate struggle, because now all of a sudden we need permission from ourselves to either be out there and be in here. And then, oh God, it's so persnickety. I don't like that word, but it's just like the stop start energy of like, can I, can't I? Not with them, maybe with them, all these things. And then there's some people that are like, well, no, I kind of do feel like a wall is good here. So here's what I have to say about the wall. In my experience, the best use of a wall is when you sense something, but you don't understand it. Where these are more like energetic boundaries and emotional boundaries. And now this is this can be very tricky, because we need to talk about this. Because as a healer and a helper, I am with people's vulnerability. So I'm in a place of authority or position where I could really mess with people's boundaries. That sounds really messed up to say. But I've experienced as a client where I've had coaches put their stuff in my space that I said yes to. It felt gross when it was in there. And then I was like, well, better lie in my bed. I made it. Like, what? Like, talk about confusing. I said yes. I didn't know how it was going to feel. And now I feel slimed or gross or like completely out of alignment. So now what? Like, and guess what this triggers in a lot of us? Fundamentally messed up, fundamentally broken. I must have missed the gene when they were handing out discernment, or no, where everyone seems to have their shit together. Not me. So you see what a tricky place that is. The reason I'm talking about that is that when I've had that experience, the only thing that's helped me begin again with me is to put what I would call a wall. That wall was not mean or unkind. That wall was space and time. And with dialogue to say, I'm not sure I'm not sure what's going on. I'm just, avoidance even. And I had no problem with it. Normally I would have given myself a hard time. Like, I'm really avoiding this person. But I had to bring a lot of compassion in and say, I didn't want to make things worse by putting something else into the space that would make it worse. I need to figure this out, not for them, for me. So I said, yes, something is going on. I don't know what it is. But overall, I think we're okay. I just need to figure this out. And they were like, yeah, I noticed something too. Wonder what's going on. And I was like, yeah, I really want to figure this out. And then I needed that time and space. But then I needed to work. I needed to go and figure out and get clear about how it felt, what I noticed, and then create some sort of communication to help inform me and then explain. So we're not defending, right? So that's a little bit of a sneak peek. But so that, to me, I think a wall is really helpful when there's an immediacy to it and there's an urgency and like some serious violations, time and space, and like, I can't talk to you right now. I will talk to you when I figure this out. I'll be back, right? So it's got kind of a time limit to it, and it's got some dialogue around it. I guess where I'm saying I don't really agree with walls is where it's being used as a long-term solution when it is a horrible long-term solution for the open-hearted. We die behind walls. We literally wither and we loathe, and we're just left with us and all of this effery, like all this mess in our house, all these muddy tracks, and we don't know how to clean our own carpet, So here we are. This is why I'm saying, what if you're here to change the dynamic? What if you're here to end that pattern? Because the more of us that end this pattern, the more we can actually step out and have the different conversations with people and ourselves, most importantly, first. Then we give that to others. Does that make a sense? Does that feel good? Please, again, blurt in the comments if there's anything that's coming up. I'm going to check the comments to see if I'm missing anything. No, we're good. We are good. Yeah, so check in with yourself if there's any questions. As I go, I will check in with you. Perfect. Okay, so I don't know. That was a lot of information. So feel free to shake your shoulders or just shake that shit out. That's a lot. Paradigm shifting. Toby says, if there are more of them and you are alone in the family unit, take a deep breath. Yep. How do we know whether we are the ones who are totally effed and that they are right? Okay, so yes, such a great question. What if it's not about being, listen, you're meant to have these things, these emotions are indicators. They're your internal navigation system, and they're your BS detector, and they're your misalignment, detector. Something's not right here. And that's not for you to say it's not right for them. This is about, it's like we're all being dared to tune in and pay attention to what our bodies and our hearts and our energy and our emotions are trying to tell us. Our life is constantly talking to us. And are we willing to slow down and listen and have a different conversation? Not one that blames us or shames us or keeps us spiraling down this dark, dark crap heap. And one that actually is like constructive. So here's what I have to bring to the table: better questions. I got better questions. The better questions are like, what do I notice? What am I noticing inside of me? What am I noticing outside of me? And if you want to get real curious about whether people are right or wrong, there is no universal right or wrong. All we're doing, as you'll soon see in a second, is we're walking around having our very unique experience based on a lot of stuff we picked up along the way. So this is like a real big thing that we need to be aware of. I'm going to like broaden the scope a little bit so that we can take a breath and realize, oh, we're all kind of messed up in our own beautiful way, and we're all trying to find our way home together. So how do we do this? And how do I fulfill my personal mandate here on this planet in a way that I came here to do it and be it? Because this is the conflict. This is why boundaries come up, because there's like a wish and a dream or a mission in your heart that isn't being fulfilled. Because every time it goes to try and like be it or do it, it's getting all this information back that says no. And then how do we navigate? Right? We retreat, and I'm gonna show this a little bit better. Kelly says, well, in hindsight, I believe people have put up walls with me because my open-hearted communication was too uncomfortable for them. Thank you. This is that disruptive part. People, oh, this is the worst. Okay. It's the worst and like the best. And okay, thank you so much. I'm so excited. There's so much coming. Because we are a proverbial on-ramp and off-ramp for people. We're an invitation for them to like see something, feel something, have something change. And we are an off-ramp for them to like get away or end something. End something of seeing something away and letting go of something. And so what can happen is, like with my relationship in England with that guy, he loved me for the way I was until he got me, and then he used every piece of that against me because I made him feel like crap because he was not like me. And that's not me being arrogant. It was just like he used my best qualities against me, and he resented me for it. Because I was this great agitator in his life. I was this constant light. I was constantly gentle, and I always saw the best in everything and everyone, and he didn't. And he resented me for that because all I did was mirror back that he didn't and he couldn't from where he was. So that's why that happens. And so I guess this broader meta element, this like, whoa, it's not just me. It's like each one of us is walking around, because guess what happens? We show up this way. And I know this is a lot. This is a very busy slide. And guess what? It's a hot mess in there. Like, I'm not going to shy away that when we're born like, let's do this. And we have interactions with people that are supposed to care for us, or society, or the country we live in, and the culture we're born into, and the religion, and the air quality. Everything informs us. Absolutely everything of our life from birth to death informs us. It is the most amazing classroom we've ever been in. And we don't always see it that way because there's a lot of adversity, a lot of pain, a lot of difficult, a lot of mountains to climb when we just think, I'm tired. Why do we have so many mountains? And the simple answer is because we don't learn as deeply through joy. It's just what I've been told, and I feel it. I feel that truth because yeah, if something really good happens, I'm like, that was amazing. And I might even cry. I might like when I watch like, airport welcoming videos and it's like a flash mob and I'm a hot mess because my heart is open and I'm like feeling so much joy and I'm like, and I'm breathing in that joy. That's medicine and all, and that's great. And then I'm just like, all right, anyway, next on to the like we don't sort of like hang out there much longer than the high that we get or that expression. We don't inquire as much. That sounds weird to say, but when it's adversity and there's some real stuff at play, like things at play, costs on the line, friendships, long-term connections, or even attachments. Oh my God, you have our attention. Like, that's why. So all of these things, we're born into roles. And sometimes we take on roles. Sometimes we even create roles. We have these rules that are beliefs that we're born into. Maybe, again, things we decide along the way or we buy into without even a conversation. Responsibilities, again, we're going right back to those formative years. Expectations. But you can see how this just flourishes. It just flourishes and actually gets validated by other people. That's where it's kind of like, oh, this must be true because different person, same vibe. So therefore, it must be me that is the problem, not everyone else. Everyone seems to be towing the line or whatever it is that we say. Experiences, these are all things that impact us and also instigate. Experiences tell us what people expect, what we're responsible for. They insinuate and imply. People in pathology, right? Pathology is so underestimated in this world. Like when you realize the patterns that you have in your DNA. So like I get the whole soul comes in, fresh and as a daisy, but as soon as it meets the body, there's something that I'm aware of that's like energetic DNA and pathology that is like in us, our ancestors. It's in our DNA and it wakes up along the way. And we follow the pattern and we sometimes live very parallel lives to our parents without even knowing it until we're like, ah. So that's why there's this request for curiosity. A lot of people don't want to look at this stuff because they're like overwhelmed by, look at how black it is too. Could I have picked a different color? Nope. Oh, I put pathology twice. Look at that, patterns in pathology. It's so important. I put it on there twice. These are the things that are impressed on us, right? They're like handprints, and sometimes they're bigger than handprints. Sometimes they're dense and damage and trauma. So that's not to be talked about lightly, right? Those experiences inform us and they change us. And this is what we're working from. So this raises the question, what's mine and what's not mine? Which I will talk about in a second. But essentially these things that come across us in our life, these impressions, these impacts, they make our living space, like, look at how I can't really navigate so much from where I was. Like that doesn't have a lot of, I can move around freely, but like with this, well, I can move in the hallways, I can sort of move in the hallways, which has us living like this. I'm such a weird science fan, and like I think it's John Hughes. All John Hughes films, even though when I watch them now, they're horrifying with all of the like awful things that I see now. But this scene in Weird Science is like classic. These guys are like nobodies and nerds, and all of a sudden they get popular and they have this house party, and there's a party going on in their house. There is a party going on, and they end up being so overwhelmed by all the things, they end up in the bathroom and they're like wondering, how did we get here? We should be out there enjoying ourselves and like being in this, being out there we thought we wanted that. We thought we were supposed to be all that. And we are all that, but why aren't we out there? And they're just joking, being like, oh, maybe if we like can hear the music, we can dance, like in the bathroom stall. Maybe we can smell the food, and just how not good enough that life experience is. We don't want to have to shrink or to hide or withhold or not speak up or tolerate or not be seen or not even be known to ourselves or others in order to exist, to just get through it. It's the opposite of what we're here to do. And that's, again, why this stuff hurts. And it wakes us up. Something's got to change. Because we know inherently I'm not really living the life that I can feel is being asked of me. There's big dares all over the place. And so we will stay in the bathroom for a very long time. And I'm putting my hand up. I was there off and on for the most part for 35 years. And here's the thing. I was a highly functioning bathroom dweller. Oh, can somebody quote me on that? I like that. I'm a highly functioning bathroom dweller. Because I would leave the bathroom. I'd like muster up some stuff. I'd go out. I'd dance on a table and hang from a chandelier. So I'd get a taste of it, only to return back to the bathroom and be like, no, I'm good here. No, I'm good. I need to rest. That was a lot, And I'm not an introvert, but yet there was this empathic element of like, it's pretty unsafe on there. I think I need I don't know. I would go back to this place of retreat and like rest. And to me, that was living. So now that I'm on the other side of that and I've worked through all of the kinks of like, it's kind of funny. You kind of feel like leaving your own party. And it was like, I would walk through the party and just be like, hey, everybody, hey, like with my blinders on. And then I get to the dance floor, dance, and then kind of put my blinders back on and not have to like engage with any of the messed up stuff that I saw. And so again, not really addressing all of the things, just trying to have a good enough time while I was here. So I don't know if any of y'all relate to that. Kelly says, this is the thing. Thank you for saying that. And now I live on the dance floor most of the time. I should have had a little video of like Elaine dancing from Seinfeld. Lots of pop culture references in my world. Of just shonky, weird dancing. And I really don't care. And that whole dance like nobody's watching. I'm like, well, what's the point? Because that's no fun. We should all watch each other dance and have an impact and make people laugh or spread joy or whatever that is. So thank you for saying that. Because yeah, it's a whole lot of different living on the other side. And I also understand, this classroom, and it can be super overwhelming. Where do I start, right? Where do I start is always the question. Michelle says, I cannot believe it has taken me 48 years to stop being a bathroom dweller. Listen, let's not give ourselves such a hard time. We have to laugh about this because we just have to. The fact that you're on the call right now is great news, okay? Because you've got your foot in the door, you're smelling the food, you can see what, you maybe even grab a little snack, and then you're gonna get fueled up, and then we're gonna head out into the party together. That's my wish. Here's the thing, you've left that bathroom. I know you have, Michelle, I know you. And we've been very similar in some ways. And I get it. There's this, don't allow the tidal wave of awareness. Because when you're really slow down and you're with that, it can really be dismantling. It can feel awful. It can feel sad. It can feel heartbreaking. And I don't want to step over it. Because that is a sacred moment of awareness. That is grace. Today in the group that I host, Radical Acceptance, it's free. If you haven't checked it out, get there. It's a beautiful space where people just share so openly and they support one another like badasses. They're amazing. Empathy rules there. Today's card was grace. And so there's a lot of grace in these moments. And in the work that I do, there are many moments where I stop and I'm like, just take a breath, because this is a lot of information and you're not meant to gulp it all down in one go. Okay. So yes, perhaps you have been living in the bathroom like I was for a very long time, and you're here. And so your foot is in the door and there is no demand on you to figure it all out in this call. Can we just take the pressure off of that right now? You're showing up for you. Do you have any idea what an act of self-love this is in this moment, whether you're on the replay or in the live call? So can we please put a foot in of compassion and like acknowledgement of like, I'm showing up and I'm listening. Whatever you get from this call is perfect. You're not supposed to nail all of it. Please allow whatever is impressed upon you that helps or heals or opens something up for you. Let that be good enough and not try to like engulf all of it and like make yourself sick in the process. There's no all or nothing in this process, but love the one that wants the all or nothing. Okay. Love the part of you that's like, I am all in. I want this sorted out. That only speaks to the conviction of you wanting more in your life and you wanting this to be rectified and healed. So can we, instead of giving that part of us a hard time, love the fact that there's a spirit in us that says, let's do this. Let's figure it all out in one go, and just honor it. And then just be like, and that's not going to feel great if we try to do all of this in 48 hours, especially if it's 48 years. Yeah. Thank you for saying that, because that was very important to put into the space. Oh, thank you. These are fantastic insights. I just need to be able to scroll on the feed. So I just popped out of that. He says, I forgot I was in the bathroom. You bet. You bet. I didn't know either. I did not know until I did. And when I did, it was not, let me tell you, it was a good thing I was in the bathroom. It was a good thing I was in the bathroom and that there was a drain, because it was a snotty, awful, disheveled mess of awareness. And that's, you want to know what's really good about that is that energy wanting to leave you. All the tension, all like your finger in the dike of the, in the dam, that's you like letting it go and letting that move. All that trapped energy, all that trapped emotion, forget about trying to figure it out as it leaves. Just let that wave go. Just ride it out and trust that you'll be taken to shore, and on an energetic level. We don't need to figure out the details yet, but sometimes that's what that tidal wave just wants to do. Just take the head off of it. Janessa has to go. That's fine, love. Thanks for being here. Michelle says, so much time wasted. That is where the heartbreak is. Guess what? If it was, that's a lie. So I want you to be with the fact that that's showing up. So much time wasted. I'm not going to shove it away, and know that it's also not true. Know that let it be true for it to open you up and allow some tears to fall, because that feeling of so much time wasted is only the love you have for you that just wants to move. It's grief. The grief, the love wants somewhere to go. What if that's what that is? That heartbreak is really just this, it's a recognition. It's your heart saying, thank you for opening that floodgate. I want to flow. I want to flow. And sometimes our bodies are like, holy hell, am I going to survive this? And guess what? You will. It's energy. It just wants to move. You are not that emotion. You are the one experiencing it. So let it move. Thank you. But let so much time wasted be the one that opens the door. Let the heartbreak open the door until it doesn't. Because on the end of it, take a breath and see what else is there. Is that heartbreak still there? If it is, let it have another wave. But stick with it until it changes, because it will. This is the core of my work right here. Colleen says, I have the habit of being overwhelmed. I need a lot of time to myself. That there's nothing more powerful than you knowing what you need and not comparing it to what someone else needs. Thank you, Colleen. Michelle says, but I can see it with humor and opportunity. What is here for me now? Like, thank God. You know what? My mom is 70 something and she has woken up to some pretty serious stuff. Especially after my dad died. Obviously they were together for 50 years and she spent, a hot minute, and still does sometimes, about like all the stuff that she didn't see, all the time that she wasted. And it's like, and you're here. So now what? Please honor those emotions and get them out, and then say, okay, like when you feel like that energy has moved, you bet you got to ask that question. All right. I'm here now. I'm here now. And that's a blessing. I'm seeing this now. And that's a blessing, because I might not have, consider your life after this point. If you hadn't, if you didn't, if you never did, there are always going to be things we're not going to see. And that is humbling. There are always going to be things we're not going to see and understand. That's why, while we're here, that is always going to be the case. What it comes down to is your willingness to open up to what you don't see and yet, but not to kill yourself in the process. We're not here to manufacture anything or force anything. This is about a natural arising, a natural bubbling up, a natural like, oh, this is in my field or this is in my space. So because it is asking for your attention and for you to be curious and look at it. So thank you. Yeah. Yeah, humor is everything in this process, you know. So yeah, just honoring what your patterns with setting and maintaining boundaries are. What's your MO? What's your experience? Just honor it. Not to blame or shame. Just feel like, yeah, I really suck at this, or this part really sucks for me. Yeah, not again to go winding down that black hole, but just be like, yeah, that's a fact right now. And guess what? I'm open to that changing. So what? Here we go. Plot twist. What if? Yeah, shake off all of that just for a second, even if you just shake out your arms. Embodiment is very powerful. I know I'm weird. I'm okay being a weirdo. But our bodies hold energy. Roll your shoulders, move around in your chair, stand up, sit down. I don't care, but we're gonna step into a new thing here. Because here's my new understanding that I want to share. What if boundaries are more like your frequency? Like, there was a guy growing up, his name was Kenny, and he was, he struggled, he had some learning disabilities, and he was this really colorful character. He was so funny and fun, and people didn't always understand him, and he was super eccentric, and he would ride around my town with a boombox, and that's why I put the Say Anything picture here, because I love that it says Say Anything, and the frequency of, like, he had his boombox that he would ride his 10-speed bike around, and everyone could hear him and see him coming, and they knew how he rolled. Like, they knew, and they would get out of the way, or they would be like, hey, or they'd interact with him where he was at. Does that make sense? And so it was so funny. I haven't thought of him for, 40 years, and he came to mind, and I don't know if he's with us still or not, but I thought that was such a powerful gift to see that he just rolled the way he needed to roll. He expressed himself, and yeah, it wasn't always easy for him, for sure. And yet there was something really amazing about how about that idea about what boundaries were like, knowing who you are and expressing yourself and being you, but emitting your frequency out with honesty, not with malice or like trying to prove something, with just like shoulders down, this is me. Water fountain images always come to me when I think about what I believe boundaries to be and what I've experienced them as. That we as individuals here and beings, we're like water fountains. That it's like the quality of our life, or all those things, impressions, those clog up the holes in our fountain. And as we work through them, as we lean in and get more curious and start to kind of loosen the soil that's clogging those fountain holes, we can flow more freely. It opens us up to being more expressed and more received by those that are around us, and more appreciated also, and understood. So yeah, then becomes more about, what's the quality of my water? How many of my things feel clogged? Am I the Bellagio? By the way, we're not all supposed to be the Bellagio. Think about all the different types of fountains there are in the world. There are like water fountains that are amazing. There are like that we drink from. There's ones in parks that are sweet and so perfect for the space, and quiet and soothing. And there are others like the Bellagio that are dynamic, and they got the Rockettes kind of vibe, and they're kicking their legs, and they're just out there, just so fully expressed. I feel like I'm the Bellagio. I feel like I was born a Bellagio fountain. If I could be the Bellagio fountain, my life would be so fulfilled. And that's not because I want people to like ooh and ah me. There's just so much aliveness and like expression and experience there. It just feels like that to me. So some allowance and forgiveness around our fountains, right? Allowing our energy to move. How are things flowing? Being honest, feeling safe in ourselves, like how clear is the water, and what junk is floating around in my water, and how do I get my net and like let it leave. And it's more about expressing ourselves. So if boundaries up until now have felt more like protecting ourselves, to me, this new understanding is more about projecting ourselves. And that's not projecting our shit onto other people. But it's projecting, it's amplifying our vibe out. Which then begs the question, what is my vibe? Like, who am I? What am I amongst all of this stuff? So I want to talk about this. Love the last bullet. Oh, good. Okay, so your feedback. Michelle says, love the frequency analogy. We can turn boundaries up or down depending on the person or the situation. Tuning in then becomes the work. Exactly. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you're getting this, because I'm so excited about how this has come through, and yay. Kelly says, love the last bullet, express and project instead of protect. Exactly. Yay. Oh. Okay. So I want to break this down because, I love, I don't know, I'm a coach, so I love like words and things that like align and like help really explain things. And this would be called an infograph. And I've actually been talking with one of the people in the group about how to create an infograph. And so I went ahead and did my own version, but this isn't the final version, but I did my best about what I believe this process is. So I would love to know what you think about this as it relates to you and your life. The first element is about recognizing. So as you can see, we got 3 figures, 3 different colors. And this to me is like that beginning place of like, WTF, like we're all enmeshed. I don't know what's me. I don't know what's you. It's like so messed up. It can just be so muddy. The water's so muddy, so many muddy footprints across our carpets. It's like no Bissell. We need to get the Bissell carpet cleaner out and just like, how the heck do we do this? But this is that to recognize, to draw attention to, and to be willing to talk about what's in your space, what you notice and what you feel. Because it can feel like a lot. This word, responsibility, because then we're being asked to take responsibility. Now this word, so first of all, tune in and recognize what's going on in your life. This is the invitation, okay? So the first step is like recognizing what's going on, how it feels also, most importantly. Then there's this word responsibility. Man, if you didn't grow up feeling responsible for everything as an empath, I don't know. Like, I think that's just inherent in the condition is that we do feel responsible. But there's a difference between being responsible, actually being responsible, and feeling responsible. So I did a live broadcast about that somewhere, which I will send out in an email because it really cleared up some of this stuff. And we don't have time to go into it now because there's stuff we want to do. But being responsible, there's like a new definition. It's about being able to respond to your life. And to respond to something, you must understand it. You must listen. You must be willing to lean in and be with whatever is arising as it is arising without trying to edit it, which is a daring and radical act by a lot of people because they think that we are these things. Right? So here's the thing. Actually, I want to go back a little bit. This is where we can get, all this stuff? We think we are this. We think we are these things. All of these roles, the rules, responsibilities, we identify with things here. We build an identity around these. And I'm here to say, what if you are not those things? You're the one experiencing those things. There's a very big difference, right? This is more you, and you're the one navigating all of these very unique cast of characters and situations in your life that are asking you to get to like figure this out, figure your place in all of it, and for you to decide. All right. So this is the pivot. This is the pivot where we be with all of our stuff. We take responsibility, meaning I'm willing to respond to what I notice. I'm willing to respond in terms of being curious and learning from, being a student to the stuff that is in my life right now. Very different conversation. To be a student, to be a learner to my own experience. Yeah. Again, let me know if any of this, please, I don't mind pushback. I welcome it. So if you're like, what the F, Keri-Anne, explain this, please leave it here. And if I can't answer it in this call, I'll answer it in the emails, in an email, because I've got your email. The next one is to reconcile, right? So it's like, we've got this stuff, but we also feel like we got a whole bunch of other people's stuff in here. So it's like reconciling. Some of this stuff feels very much like it's ours and some of it doesn't. And the only way we find out is by leaning in, admitting. This is my admit your shit phase. Admit your shit. Admit it. Admission. It's so easy. It's so easy. And once you get started, it really is fun. Like, I admit things you believe about it. Admit how it got there. Admit how you engaged with it. Admit how you said yes. And don't let the water stop flowing around this process. It's like, just admit. Guess what? By admitting it, it moves out. Like, it really does. It's less in your space. There's something, radical acceptance. What if you're closer to radically accepting something by admitting how awful it is than you are if you're like, I'm trying to accept the fact that my mom always does this, or that I tolerate this. I'm trying to accept that, That whole trying to accept is just denial in a slow drag behind a slow vehicle over Lego. That was a weird metaphor. So I like that. Yes. So admitting it, it's like, it doesn't have to be unkind. It just has to be truthful for you. Guess what? You also don't need a megaphone or Facebook to tell everybody about it. You just need a pen, a journal, maybe a friend that knows how to hold space and not put their hand on your process, or a coach like me, or a program that I'm going to share with you, that I'm putting together around this. To just start admitting this stuff freely and to get used to that. It is medicine, I tell you. Yes. Oh, getting a couple of yes. It is freeing to admit it. It is. So by letting it breathe, it goes from being a massive piece of crap to like, it's so much smaller when you name it, because you just speaking it, using your voice, that is a tool, which we're going to talk about, that helps clear shit. Because by the way, you admitting stuff is a clearing activity. A lot of people think clearing is like sage and like people shaking rattles all around you. And I'm here to say, using your voice as a tool, using your expression, using your emotions is a way to clear your space. So yay. We don't have to spend millions of dollars to get that done. By admitting these things, you're reclaiming your space. And that isn't a selfish act. We might need, I don't know if I'll be able to get into that, but this is necessary, as now you can see. Because you can't really function very well here. Like when your hands are full of other people's stuff, there's nothing open to do anything. So you're hostage, they're hostage, it's a hot mess. So we either reclaim and like start to live our lives, or we essentially wither on the vine, which is a very dark thought. So again, please feel free in the chat to talk about how this is landing for you. I'm just very aware of the time. I said it was going to be 90 minutes. And we have like 20 minutes left. So here's what I want. What is me? What is me? This is the next thing. So from reclaim, well, the space is empty. We got to move you back in. So we move you back in, you got to remember. All right. So what is me? Well, without all that crap around and all those roles and rules and responsibilities, you are many, many things that you probably just step over and you don't realize all the time. You are a couple of different vibes of things. On the left-hand side, these are what I call your anchors. You have these inherent pipelines available to you that are to me, those pipelines where the water comes out, the places where we get clogged. Okay, the things that clog our pipelines are like unexpressed emotions, unresolved issues, clog, mud, guck, yuck. And those pipelines are our creativity. We are naturally creative. We just are. We talked a little bit about with Toby in the beginning. She was like, I figured it out. Don't know how I did that. Because you're inherently creative and resourceful, and you have this imagination, which is the superhighway for your intuition to say, hey, by the way, go to this, Toby. You got on the call, right? You don't have to do a lot. You just have to like open up and maybe even just be like, I wonder what I should do. As soon as you say the words wonder, this is a little side tip. As soon as you say the word wonder, it actually does open up your intuition and your imagination, because it literally sends a courier to say, let's go wonder. Let's go see what's out there. What ideas are there out there? And all of a sudden information will come and you think you're not intuitive. Sorry. You're intuitive, your energy. These are all valuable resources. Your resourcefulness is a resource. The fact that you're just inherently resourceful, and your wholeness. This is what's underneath all of those smudgy, sludgy stuff, being there the whole time. And you can feel it. That's where a lot of this urge is coming from. The urges, the instincts about like, I need this to change, that is coming from your wholeness. So if you don't feel whole, I'm just going to ask you to consider that I get that there are dents that need to be banged out from this circle, and you are still very, very much whole. Your wholeness might be smaller than it used to be, but it is still there. And that is exactly where I'm speaking to right now in this time and space. And I'm welcoming you and inviting you to do the same, and to remember you are this and you have tools. This is just the surface. You have your values, those things that you care most about. We would call them things like, we pick them off a list, like love, family, connection, community. That's like a bit of a sampler without any depth or like exploration, but that's usually what values sound like. I value these things. They're very important to me. Your voice and your choice, right? Your energy is also swapped out with your emotions, right? That's your energetic system. And that you have all these things available to you without, you are this before the circumstances. Look at what a powerful place you're in without anything, or anyway, I could go on. Lee says, but what if you take and feel too much, then trying to admit you vomit and blast it out in a way that is too much for others? Well, that's under the assumption that you're supposed to do this for others. You're not. This is the most unsatisfying part for your ego, not just yours, but all of ours. At first we think, well, someone needs to understand this. Someone else needs to do this for me. Somebody needs to not do this for me, but like somebody needs to get it. I need to be known. And we skip over ourselves. Yeah, it's a little disappointing to know that you're going to be sitting there being with yourself because you're always there. But what if you're the one that you actually need to hear the information and receive it? It's just it's maybe a radically different concept for some people. And I fell into this. I fell into this awareness through like right after my miscarriage. I had an experience where I was thrust into like, I got to figure this out because I can't even be inside myself. And I'm happy to share that as well for those that want to sort of peek into that. So here is an exercise. I want us to take 5 minutes because we can't go too deep into this, but this is a taste, okay? I want you to just shake off all the information not all the information, but yeah, just shake off a little bit, because this is asking you to anchor. I want you to anchor into some of this stuff. I want you to have an experience of you right now. I want you to get a taste of you, okay? The first thing I want you to do is close your eyes. Turn your brain off, because otherwise it's going to be looking around trying to like name things and be logical. And we're going to be inviting in, as you take a few deep breaths, I want you to take a few deep breaths and just feel that air travel down into your body, past your head, because sometimes we can hang out too much in our head, and just allow that oxygen to enter in the core of your body. Feel your belly expand and notice your feet on the ground or your butt in the chair or whatever you're sitting or lying on. And just really be present to this other place, this bringing the air down and into your body, down to your feet, touching the ground. And we're going to call forth new information, new tools, some of that imagination. We're going to call in your imagination. We're going to request your creativity. We're going to ask for some support that's going to open up another dialogue. And there's 2 areas we're going to go. The first one is, I want you to bring to your mind, I want you to allow your imagination and your creativity to bring forward a time in your life when you felt most alive, most aligned, best, knowing best is best, a moment where you felt maybe even on top of the world, more yourself than ever before. Maybe you didn't have many of those moments, so you just notice what arises and honor whatever arises. Best is best. A time, a moment, an achievement. With every breath in, just stay open with a loose grip and say, what wants to be shown to me? And I want you to let it open up. That memory, that time. I want you to look around as if you're an observer. You're not known to anyone in the scene, but you're observing, you're walking around, you're remembering, every breath, you're picking up on the feelings in the room, you're picking up on how it felt, you're picking up on what that was like, you're noticing yourself move in the space and show up and engage and interact, and you're just observing and you're taking it all in like you're drinking it in. You're not just drinking it in logically, you're drinking it in like the vibe and the impact. Notice how you're being. Notice what you're doing. Yeah, just let it unfold as much as it wants to without demand. And just, when you're ready, just start writing writing words, blurt onto a piece of paper, just blurt without question, whether it's an energy or a vibe or something you noticed. What was the impact of you in the situation? What happened? How did other people respond? What's being shown to you right now from this vantage point about this moment or this time, this achievement? Ask it, like, what is important about me seeing this? What's the most important thing about me seeing this right now? And just like really acknowledge you. I notice I'm being funny, or I notice I'm engaging, or I notice I'm listening, or I notice I'm caring, or I notice I have this quality, this characteristic. I notice the impact on others is this. And have that moment, because allow for something new maybe to be shown to you about you in this space and time. Okay? This is important. Some people think, well, what's the point of going back? Well, notice the things you're writing down. What's in the space? The vibe. Is it fun? Guess what? Sometimes these moments aren't top of the roller coaster moments. They are fulfilling moments that are important in a different way. Some people think that being fulfilled means we're on the top of a mountain riding a mountain bike or something like that. And that's not wrong. And some of us are surprised to find out that some significant moments that are shown to us are heavier or more intense or not super light. They're moments when maybe we heard bad news, or we were present with a friend when they were sick, or we shared space with somebody, or a moment that was really, whoa. Because fulfillment doesn't always look like we're on the top of a mountain. Sometimes it looks like we would be no other place. Right? Sometimes we get this fulfillment thing wrong, I think, and we really make ourselves frustrated by trying to always achieve the top of the mountain when we honor our values. When we honor our values, the things that are in the space that you notice, we're fulfilled. So wouldn't it be really important to know what your values are, right? This is an exercise that proves a handful of your values, things that are important. Yeah. So that's for you. Feel free to notice, feel free to share in the chat about what you learned, about what was just shown to you, about what you're being asked to admit. Guess what? Shit isn't always bad. This is the other side. Please admit your shit. Please admit what you're being shown by you, from you, to you right now. That's really important for you to know and see. And there's more. This is just one. This is one door to walk through. I got a million. Right? So feel free. Share if you want, but just keep that. That's for you. That's for you to know. There's one more exercise. What do we got for time? All right. We're squeezing it. I might go over. If you can't stick around, you leave and come back and watch the replay. Because I want you to really get something as a result of this. Because it's really hard to step into some of those things without this awareness, without this truth landing on your heart here and now, if you're willing to receive it. That's the other daring act and the radical act that's happening right now. Thank you. Jody's saying very simple moments with my kids and grandkids, cuddling with my heart fully open. When you slow down and you really open that moment up, I mean, look at all of the things in place, in that place and space, connection. This is, I'm just going to blurt or interpret from what I get, and just so I can maybe help others flourish theirs. You just take a breath in, it's like love, connection, being held. That can be a value. It doesn't always have to be these like catchphrases of love and like connection. It's like being held, being seen, eye contact. What's important about that? Like, do you see how delicious this process is? Oh God, what's important about that? You know, what a great question to keep it going. What's important about cuddling? What's important about those heart fully open moments? Just expansion is there, you know? Like, and how good it feels to be there. Just even by revisiting, do you see how powerful your imagination is? It's not pretend. It's opening you up to a truth that is already there, that already exists. We just don't always go there or choose to like be aware of this part of us. Kara says 2 things. One was out camping with my husband and boys. I felt so peaceful and happy. So my value of family and being outdoors. The second was recently giving a talk in Whitehorse at a rec conference about why I have been successful running programs. I felt confident, smiling, and was sharing about myself and helping other women. These are definitely all my values. Thank you. See, like each one of them, every little morsel that you write down could be opened up. What more? Is there anything more about that I need to know? And notice if it opens up. And if it doesn't, it is what it is, and that's great. You've kind of hit the bottom of it, which is amazing. The simplicity and the openness of it. But like some of them almost feel like more packages that want to be opened. Like confident. Oh God, what does my confident look and feel like? Remember the feeling. It's there. Guess what? It's available to you, right? This is where we're headed with this. So Lisa says, standing beside my cousin who passed away when no one else could. My God, thank you. I knew it was important to talk about that. Right? Being strong, helping, in helping conversation every time I'm able to help someone step on a path that I can help them bringing knowledge. Yes, exactly. Like, this is so good. Thank you. Really seeing who you are in that moment. Brave, courageous, willing. You get to claim that, put that in your space. You must know who you are, and like, this is proof. This isn't just picking it off a list. You know, that feels empty. This feels real because it is. And people say, well, I'm not like that all the time. Notice that expectation is that you have for yourself is that you're supposed to be like that all the time. If we were like that all the time, there'd be no dynamicness to life. There'd be no like variety either. So just laugh at that expectation. But I'm not like that all the time. Are we supposed to be? Oh my God, can you imagine if we had to stay in a room with a sick person all the time? These moments are like beautiful gems that reveal us to us. And now my hope and wish is that you're paying more attention now moving forward about who you are in space and time. Embracing my inner goddess. And then, inner goddess, what's she like? Okay, I see words all around. Is she got an outfit on? Let your imagination help. Has your inner goddess got an outfit on? What is she wearing? How does she move? This is embodied. Go, run with that idea. Anybody? Fierce. Yeah. Has she got a GIF? Has she got a theme song? You understand? All right. This is great. Beautiful. This is you. This is your culture. This is the second exercise, which we don't have time for, but what you can do is like imagine that you are like in a fog. You're in this fog, and when the fog parts, all of a sudden you're in a new land, and that land is you. It's like everything that happens in this place. It could be a city, it could be a country, it could be in some place, and let your imagination like, if I was a place, like let the clouds part. Just do that for just a second and get your foothold in it. If I were a landscape, if I were a location, if I were a place, what would be there? And like allow the fog to part and allow your imagination to let it flourish bit by bit, tiny thing by tiny thing. Or maybe you step out into a 3-ring circus and it's so dynamic and loud and vivacious and all these things, but allow the spectrum to be there for you to explore it with curiosity and like get to know you as a metaphor. That metaphor is so helpful because it bypasses logic. Logic will try and prove shit and all this stuff, but this metaphor, now this is a metaphor. This is now a future kind of stuff. It's like, doesn't exist. This is a magical place where the craziest things can be happening. There could be magical creatures there, for goodness sakes. There could be inventions that don't exist. There could be different colored trees, or buildings that defy logic. So what does your land look like? What is your culture there? What are the traditions? What are the norms? How do people roll? What are the rules and philosophies here? If there was a constitution of your people, knowing there are different suburbs for sure that are like little Italy. It's like little badass, little reader, introvert, you know, I don't know. It's like all these little boroughs. Yes, you get to be as dynamic as a culture of a place. Like Vancouver here has all these different, we've got Chinatown, we've got the East End, we've got, or the East Side. It's not always a nice place to go, but it is very real. It's not always a safe feeling place, but it's real, it's there. and it exists. And like the West Side, you know, and all these, and the beaches and all those sort of things. So that is far more informing a lot of times about what is in your space. Yeah. Like this is you mining for gold. What were you doing? What is there? What are the qualities? How are you being? What is the vibe or impact you have on others? What does it feel like? Most importantly, what does it feel like? You get a sense of, finish that sentence. Oh, I get a sense of this. I get a sense of aliveness. I get a sense of like, let's do this. I get a sense of a phrase. Yeah. So go play with that. Because you are what you love and not what loves you. And how important this is in this boundaries conversation. What a crucial philosophy and idea this is. Doesn't this change the game? You are what you love and not what loves you. Why is this important to talk about these anchors? Because we identify so much with all the stuff. And this shakes that up, man. This breaks up some of the cement that is locked on our hearts, that is locked on our beingness. And it feels like we can't and we don't get to and we won't because we don't have permission from ourselves or other people. And I am this jackhammer that wants to break it up. And this is you underneath it. This is who you truly are, all of those values, all those qualities. And then you have your voice and your choice to step into your life in a different way, to choose something differently, right? That you are not the mess, you're the one experiencing it. I love this. Jody says, I see a band playing and people on the dance floor laughing and celebrating. Just be, and just write, spitball words. Is it joy? Is it romance? Is it, oh, what music? Get it? What kind of dance? Is it, 1950s jive, or is it like, I don't know, break dancing or ballroom dancing? Yeah. Like, let the metaphor inform you. Your imagination and your intuition is trying to give you something right now. It's trying to feed you something other than all of the stuff that you think you are, that you've bought into unknowingly over the years. So a lot of people say, well, what do I do with this now? If any of you are like, well, what do I do with this? Why I said like that. But there is this knee-jerk reaction to after being work. I do a lot of being work. This is being work, even though we're doing stuff. It's like being with, allowing it to flourish and flood your system and be like informed. And then the brain kicks in and says, all right, Keri-Anne, what do we do with this? All right, let's go. Let's go. And I just say, put a pause button on that for a second. Put a pause button on it, because this is the new paradigm of boundary creation, which is like when your primary focus is refilling your space to remember who you are and then to embody who you are by the things you be and the things you do. This is where everything changes. It really does, because you're no longer looking or seeking things outside of yourself. You're actually being who you are. There's permission in kind of claiming your place in yourself first and foremost, and walking around with that awareness. I am these things. So you're never caught off guard when somebody says, when asks you about, you actually have resources and you can say, I love this and I love doing that and I appreciate this and here's what I'm here. This is what I'm all about. And there's this inside out practice. And again, notice that hashtag daily practice. This has an immediate return on investment that allows us to go into the darker stuff. If you're not anchored in some of this stuff, it is so much more difficult to unravel when you are standing in all that black stuff and it's all over your shoes. I want you standing in this heart place, in these heart truths, and for that information to inform everything as we move forward. Because there is a lot of stuff to be informed by. These are all your classrooms. This is like sacred learning. This is your divine university of you, right? So you are this first and foremost, all the things that you love and care about in an embodied expression. So if you get to be your first point of focus. That's the most important thing. And then to understand how to take this out into our relationships is where it can get tricky. Because then we're navigating the expectations and whatnot of so many other people, things, places, and norms. But here's the other thing. I hope you realize that alongside of you, your parents, your siblings, all the people that you're in conflict with, family stuff, they are so like you, just like you there. Like they're walking around just as like glommed and confused, and maybe they see or maybe they don't. And so this sort of helps to understand that, right? This is, to me, the ultimate. This is where we're headed, which is where we relate to other people. So we're no longer like swarming in everyone else's stuff. We're aware that each one of us has our stuff, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And notice how there's still a little swirl in there, because we're never going to be completely clear of that swirl. There's always going to be some learning. And we learn through joy as much as we learn through pain. So this is also a paradigm shift of like being open to learning from the good that's in our life. And so it's a real mixed bag. And are you willing to be with all of it? Hence my radical acceptance work. That's why I want to bring this to the conversation. I want to bring daring to suck. It's like daring to suck, and radical acceptance is about daring to radically embody boundaries. Where those connection pieces between us and others is the connection of understanding, our willingness to understand, our willingness to be aware, and our willingness to have compassion for ourselves and others. This is going to start to untangle all of the stuff. And first and foremost, without you having to have a conversation right out of the gate with someone and have like a confrontation, right? This is about you with you first, and then starting to play with the relationships with others and having those conversations in a place where you feel anchored, safe, and supported by yourself. And by yourself first and foremost. So thank you all for staying as long as you have. I know we're at the 90-minute mark, but I'm really excited. The reason this came up was because I'm being nudged, and I welcomed a bunch of you into this conversation, and I received a mountain of yeses and like information about why this is important for us to go through. So I have created a 6-week journey for us to take this information, this anchor, and build on it, and to take it into the relationships of our lives. And I want to share it with you. And if this is calling to you at all, reach out to me, and you can join today. But I'm going to tell you about it first. So here's what I love. I'm feeling really accomplished and a little like, yay, in boundaries, because it's like combines the best of empath and embodiment with boundaries. It's like bringing these two things together, making a new word, and boundaries. And I want to spend 6 weeks over the holidays. It just happens to be that there's a couple of holidays over the next few weeks, to help you build better and really badass, beautiful, abundant boundaries that flourish from the inside out, and for you to have support, guidance, live guidance every week from me and those that join us alongside. So that's weekly workshops that are live. So we would have this back and forth with hot seat coaching. So people would actually get coached on the call, where, whoever feels willing and wanting to like share their experience and have it worked on in the space is not only helpful to you, but others, because you are all sharing very similar me toos. So for every one person that gets coached, we're actually coaching everybody, and then we play and we all throw things into the mix. So they're very powerful calls. They're not just sitting back and me shoving information down your throat. And it starts on Monday, because I'm like, I just want to get started. I don't want to wait. So it's happening on Monday. The calls will be every Monday. Right now they're at noon. I'm willing to be flexible on that, depending on how big the group is. But yeah. And with weekly dares and accountability. So it's not just about learning stuff. It's like taking something tangible, like what we did today. Like you take something. My request of you today is to take one thing that you learned and like do something with it. Whether that's like, yeah, embodying it. How can you embody that one thing? How can you lock that in for yourself? And there's lots of ways that you can play with that. Yeah, so I'm looking forward. I'm going to send an email and ask more questions about that. There's going to be a private Facebook group for support and celebrating with like fellow boundary badasses like yourself. Worksheets, templates, most importantly, scripts. Everyone wants the words. I have lots of words. I have navigated many, many things, breakups and really tricky mom relationships and all sorts of things that I have now untangled in a way by trial and error and practice that I am happy to share scripts and for you to play with that, not for you to be like, you got to say it exactly like this. It's more about you receiving it and then morphing it and changing it so it works for you. For guaranteed compassionate conversations around boundaries with yourself first and foremost, and then with others. And so there's a black period over the holidays where I am going to do a pop-up between Christmas and New Year's of just a live Q&A, like support call, like how's it going? But yeah, this is really where I want to kind of give everything that I have in my treasure trove of this into this course live with you, up close and personal, full access to me and me to you, should you choose it. You can dip your toe in and just listen and receive and not do anything with it. Or you can like dive right in with me and like, let's really sort this out. And then what I want to do is in January, the last call is actually going to be the first week of January to basically at the beginning of the year, you're going to have this whole new way of being and new way of doing in your life to take into the year. It's almost like a whole new blueprint for you to like navigate things, knowing your values, knowing your blueprint, knowing what you say yes to, knowing what you say no to, understanding your emotions in a new way, all of that. So here are the modules. The first one is about getting clear, right? Being with all those swirls and like starting to get clarity. Today we got a foot in the door, but there's more about like, what about all this stuff, Keri-Anne? Where do I start? This is like, what is mine? What isn't? What do I deal with? What's most important? And where do we go from here? So if you're wondering about where you start and what you start with, this would be the call that you'll get very, very clear on that. The second module is about communicating, how to use your voice and choice to express yourself assertively without betraying your own loving nature and hurting other people in the process. This is where there's going to be a lot of scripts and a lot of practice, a lot of role playing perhaps, or like just, yeah, it's going to be a very powerful call. Module 3 is compassion. This is all about that emotional element, about understanding your emotions, and this is going to be some pretty amazing hot seat coaching where we go into that embodiment of the energy. It's less about the story and more about the energetic charge we hold. That's actually also what goes on with boundaries. It's not so much that people have crossed it. It's like there's an energetic, So it's learning how to compassionately clear that. And the practice that I use with my private clients, I'm happy to share in more depth with that and embodying it on calls for you to practice and try on. And then module 4 is about integrating. It's about the courage from your heart, living from your heart, integrating, practicing, playing your way to weaving new perspectives into your life and actually embodying them. It's like letting go of what you thought was and realizing what is. Yeah. And then finally, or not finally, the call right before Christmas. This is where we're going to take those 4 elements and just like, it's like what's here now as a result. This is just going to be all hot seat coaching. Bring your burning questions. We'll make time for as many as we can, and we'll just go in, and I will bring everything I've got to that call. And then we'll have 2 weeks off where I'll do a support call in between. And then in the new year, we're going to talk about your new way and sort of reclaiming and declaring your 2019 and what that is going to be for you, and setting a path that you not only understand, but you're starting to embody and like work with. So yeah, I'm super excited about it. So we start on Monday, and you can, and I wanted to make this accessible for as many people as possible. So you're getting a lot. You're getting a lot of me, a lot of information, a lot of content for one payment of $333 or 2 payments of $197. And so I will share, let me see if I got my incredible, let me stop sharing. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share the sales page so you can have a look. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. I'm going to like lose power in a second. I don't want that to happen. Sorry, just bear with me a second. Good thing I checked. Okay, so here it is. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions. So I'm happy to stay on for another minute or two for anyone that has any questions or like, yeah, what's here now around all of this. Here we go. Let me put this in there. Here we go. Oh, thank you, Holly. She's already on it. Girl, thank you. Yeah, so like what is here now as a result of all that? Does anyone want to unmute themselves and share? I'm happy to talk. Oh, Colleen had to go, that's fine. Or fill it in the comments or any questions like what about this or what about that. But I really wanted to create something that was going to be supportive and like useful as all F, really, because it's got to be tangible for me, and everybody wants tangible. They want the real life stuff. And so I'm happy to present it. And if that goes for you, then great. And if you got something out of this and it's all good, then that's good too. I'm really happy to have given it. So yeah, if there are no questions, but if there are, oh, sorry, Toby, I didn't see, I've never done the on hand thing.
Well, that was a long time. Hi.
Hi.
That was so long ago.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I thought I've never used the hand either, but there you go. I ended up typing it in, and it was the one. It was the part about what if there are more of them than there.
Yes.
You know that you're crazy and you're wrong. That part.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that happens a lot because a lot of us are really so aware. It can definitely feel like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so sorry, Kara's saying unavailable for a Monday, question mark. Here's the thing. If you can't make the live call, the recordings will be there and the activity's still happening in the groups with the live. I'll be doing some pop-up live Q&As. So you will definitely be getting the support there. Yeah. So there's that. Thank you, Holly. Oh, thank you, Kara. The calls are recorded and you'll be getting them like ASAP. As soon as they're done, I'll be putting them up and you should be able to get them within the hour. And then be able to stay with the group. And then the idea was to take that information into the week, right? And then feel free to email me all your questions like, please talk about this or please make sure this is covered. That's all going to be looped into the content to make sure that I'm addressing your actual WTFs. Because that's what I'm here to do. Yeah. I think some of the pop-up calls will be on Wednesdays and Fridays. So there's that too. Yeah. So yeah. I'm gonna unmute everybody just so we can all say goodbye. And thank you so much. I hope you received value from this call and support or something new. I look forward to hearing from any of you about what that was. And yeah, I really just hope it was. Oh, Holly, I just saw your comment about the ocean, bold, alive, powerful, beautiful, right? Mm-hmm. So here's the thing, you are that. I mean, a lot of us don't realize that. And we walk around thinking we are those other things, and it's just got to end. So I'm happy to fan those flames. Thank you. Thanks, everybody. Mm-hmm. Have a beautiful week ahead. And yeah, please contact me. You feel free to book a call with me if you have any questions or want to connect. I will also include that in the email with the replay. So have a beautiful week. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ernie. Thank you, Kara. Thank you, Holly. Thank you, Toby. Thank you, everybody. Lee, Kelly, Janice, Jody, Michelle. So much love for you showing up as fully as you did. And you really gave yourself something today if you did. Thank you. So much love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.